Y'all ever feel like the older you get, the more you just hope shit doesn't go wrong? Like day by day, it's like I wake up and I just think, man, I hope my back doesn't go out today. Or I hope I don't twist my neck today. Or I hope it doesn't burn when I pee today. You know, little stuff like that. It's like you get older and you just really just want shit to go smooth for that day, you know? Damn. Alright, let's do it.
Brought it on yourselves.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Yeah, dude, sick!
Yeah, Dude Sick podcast. Bitches.
Episode 3, baby. Man, they tried to keep me quiet, but they couldn't do it. I had to come back. Damn, man, I'm getting older. Life is short, man. I notice it. I notice how short life is because I got 2 kids. And every day I just kind of watch them grow. And they're just getting older, man. So it makes me really realize how short life is, man. I think about it. I get sad sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hold back my feelings. I want to let y'all know how I'm feeling. And I do, man. I get sad because, man, it's not like, how can I put it, man? I just never want to be on like a downhill slope, you know? I always want to keep climbing. And it's not that I'm really unhappy with my life. It's more like I just want more. Honestly, it wasn't until I hit probably 30 that I realized that I even possessed that will or that urge to even want to achieve more in life. I think some people, they don't even really think that way, you know, and that's cool. If you're content with your life, that's fine, but the older I get, the more I want to experience. But anyways, man, what's been going on? I went to an indoor skate park recently, and that was cool because you'll always have that feeling walking into an indoor skate park. You just it brings you back a little bit. Because, I mean, I probably ride an indoor park maybe once a year, to tell you the truth. And I went to this park in Dayton, Ohio. It's called Mike's Bike Park. It was awesome, man. You know what it was? It's kind of like a bootleg version of Ray's Mountain Bike Park. It's like, it was just like a miniature version. But it's like, say you went on Wish and you ordered Ray's Mountain Bike Park, they would send you Mike's Bike Park. Oh, shit. But it was awesome. It was a great time. A few of my friends and I went out there, had a long sesh, wrists were hurting. But yeah, had some post-session beers, which is always good. Yeah, we had a great time, man, but let's get into the episode. I'm very, very excited to talk to some people. The topic is, just people who got sponsored at an early age and how that kind of affected their life in BMX and life of sponsorship and competition and all that stuff. So excited to hear from some people. We got some OG motherfuckers. We got some young cats. And we got some dudes in between. So first up on the list is a man named Preston Oakert. He's a kid from California, and he's kind of on the come up right now. So let's see what the boy has to say. Preston Oakert, how you doing, big dog?
Good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, man, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, dude. I've actually been following you for a long time, man. I was just thinking about that.
Internet buddies for a while.
That's so crazy. So, how old are you, man?
I am 20 years old.
See, that's crazy because I feel like I've been following you for at least like 5 years.
Really?
I think so, man. I was trying to think of like where I was living at, and like when I started following you. Did I send you a hat at one point?
Yeah, it was the...
Yeah, okay, it was you then.
I just found it the other day, actually. That shit was funny.
Dude, that's so crazy. So, we're talking about people who got sponsored at an early age and how that kind of affected their life in BMX. And I want to talk to you because really you're living that thing right now. You know what I mean? You said you got sponsored at like 17, right?
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, I bet. That's what I was going to say that was kind of every 17-year-old BMX rider's dream, and you're kind of living that right now. So, I mean, how does that feel?
It's pretty wild, man. Just like hanging out with dudes that you've looked up to your whole life and just like meeting people and going all over the place, and really just traveling has been like the craziest thing to me.
Yeah, I bet. Just living that BMX life, man. How did that whole sponsorship thing come about? And first off, who are you sponsored by?
I ride for Colt and Odyssey, which is super crazy.
That's arguably two of the biggest companies in BMX right now. So.
Yeah, they rip.
That's crazy.
I got with Robbie from riding Fullerton Skate Park, because that's my local, and I was like still racing at the time, and he was in development with the race frame that Colt was going to be coming out with, and he was talking to me and seeing me at the track as well as the skate park, and we just started talking, and he would always like give me discounts or whatever as we became closer, and then once I started getting hooked up with Odyssey, he seemed to maybe see me in a different light and not just as like a potential racer kid.
Yeah, it took you a little more serious probably at that point.
Yeah, and I was like fading out of racing as that was going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
But with Odyssey, I met one of the, I think he's a sales dude. He's going to hate me for saying that. But I met Phil Ranelli, and he put in a good word for me for probably a while, and would always let me come out and ride the ramps in the back of Full Factory and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And met Nuno and kind of got hooked up from there, and things have just been progressively going well.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm really stoked for you because, again, I've been following you for a while, and to be able to see you just kind of like develop into the rider you are is pretty wild to see. Like, I've never met you before, but I've still like kind of, to almost kind of tracked your coming up in BMX, and I think it's pretty cool to see. But I had a couple questions for you, man. At such a young age, you were, I assume you had a somewhat of a crew, so how did you kind of going on this, man, just you kind of living this BMX life right now, how has that affected like the kids you grew up with riding and stuff like that?
Yeah, I always kind of hung out with older people. There's not much of a, like, once I got out of racing it, I just started riding with dudes that were like almost twice my age, it seemed like.
Oh, okay.
And most of those guys ended up going from like the local skate park, which was Brea. Most of two of those guys went off to the Navy. Dudes got into cars, all that kind of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the dudes that I was hanging out with, like Phil, who got me hooked up with Odyssey, they were already buddies with like dudes that were in the industry. So it was nice. It didn't really like have an effect on anybody's friendship, but yeah, pretty chill.
That's good, man. I'm glad to hear that because I kind of put it into I see a lot of myself in your style a little bit, just how you ride. But I had a crew growing up, and I assumed that it would have changed kind of just the vibes of the crew if one of us would have kind of went down that path, and now you're just kind of living the BMX life. But I don't know. I just kind of wondered that.
Sure.
But I'm glad.
I always wonder like how I ride with a couple of my homies, and I hope that they don't think it's weird or like unfair in a way, but I don't know. I always try and do my best of like, I've always hooked them all up with everything that I get, and like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I make sure to give back to the homies that have been there.
Oh, that's cool,
at least
man.
Try my best.
Yeah. Couple other questions, man. It's a weird thing to kind of, I don't know, kind of have goals in BMX, or even maybe like just shit you want to accomplish one day, you know what I mean? Do you ever feel like stuff like that? You ever maybe like win a Vans Pro Cup or something like that?
Yeah,
you know?
That's for sure on the list, but I mean, we're just kind of working it out as she comes. I'd like to, dude, at this point, with everyone who's like riding in those things, just making a Sunday final would be so rad. Like, just staying in with those dudes.
Cool.
And, yeah, that's pretty much was the goal for this summer, but we'll see how next summer goes. Hopefully when all the COVID bullshit is all cleared up.
That's cool, man. I mean, it's good to have goals, but also on the other hand, it's like you're just riding that wave right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like you don't really need to have goals. You just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it, man. That's what seems to be kind of working at the moment.
Yeah, for sure, man. Dude, I'm again, man. I know I've told you a couple times, but I'm stoked to see you progress, and I hope you keep doing what you're doing because, man, it's weird to say, but you have great style, but it's not like this. It's not this crazy different style, I guess, but you do different stuff for sure. Like all the manual links you do, it's just no one's doing that stuff. So keep that up. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Yeah, do you, I guess just one last question, man. Do you work hard in BMX? Do you push things? I don't know, do you kind of like put passion into the tricks you're trying, or you just kind of like cruising?
Dude, honestly, it goes both ways, for sure. I'll go to my local skate park and just kind of do the same shit every day when I go there, or like, and just be cruising, you know what I mean? Like, not even thinking about nothing. I probably won't do tricks certain sessions, like, at all. But, like, filming, I'm definitely, like, putting in some passion into, like, what I'm doing. I want it to look good and try and do my best, for sure. But
awesome,
for the most part, just cruising.
Right on, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to holler at me, and
Dude,
I wish you the best of luck,
your
man.
Time.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Stay up, all right?
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon, hopefully, dude.
All right, man. Yeah, later.
Take it easy.
Damn, man. Young cat. Out here doing it. I love that. He seems like he's not really pushing it too hard, but he's doing enough to be able to stand out and make his presence known in BMX. I think it's important. It's important to not obviously push too hard, but still show that you care about this. And I think companies will realize, like, if you care about putting out content, but also kind of like, sticking to the basics and just kind of doing that whole less is more thing. By the way, if you haven't checked out Preston's Instagram, go check it out, man. I beg you, because he's doing some cool shit. Preston Okert, hell yeah. I'm stoked to be able to finally talk to that dude. I think you kind of caught that vibe, and he just seems very excited about this whole BMX thing and progressing, and what he's looking forward to. I love that. I'm so glad I got to talk to him, because I was that kid, man. I never got to get sponsored, but I was there. I wanted it, like every other 17-year-old kid did, and he found a way to make it happen, and that's pretty fucking cool, man. But next up, we got the man who, man, he's really the California kid, and he's been through a whole lot of shit, man. He's a seasoned vet, and he's the golden child, man. Y'all give it up for the man, Dennis the motherfucking menace, Dennis Anderson. All right, Dennis Anderson, how you doing, sir?
I'm great. Good to hear from
awesome,
you.
Man.
Thanks for the call.
Dude, thank you so much, man. So, episode's about people who got sponsored at an early age, and if my sources are correct, you got sponsored at like maybe 14 or something like that?
Yeah, 14, 15. 15 for sure is like when I started getting some like getting on volume and demolition.
Okay, cool. And you're 29 now, correct?
Yeah, 29 now.
Damn, that's a long time being sponsored, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like my whole life, really,
Yeah.
Before being sponsored, it's like honestly kind of blurry.
Damn, that's cool. So, honestly, dude, the biggest question I have for you is, like, for any of the youngsters who are listening right now, how have you been able to maintain such a high level of passion and dedication for BMX for so many years?
Honestly, it's because of the love of it. Because if it wasn't for any of the sponsors or anything, it was a thing that I literally just loved more than anything. Besides, family and friends and stuff, but it was my thing. Like the bike, out of all the sports and everything I was trying, it was just like the one that I just loved. Every time I got on it, it just felt right.
That's a good point about other sports. Did you try a bunch of other sports growing up?
When I was a kid, my parents had me in like baseball and all the normal stuff, so I was doing all that.
Okay. Yeah, because I talk about people who just have like that it factor, and I think that is, it's relevant in BMX too. You see it in other sports, and I definitely think people are just born with it, you know what I mean? And I would say that you probably possess it, so...
Yeah, it was just what I love to do, and it was
Cool,
just, like,
man.
self-explanatory, you know. Didn't
Yeah.
matter with the sponsors or any of that. That stuff was dope, and it just happened naturally. But yeah, I was gonna do it no matter what.
Right on, man.
I'd still be doing it no matter what, you know. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick question. Do you ever get burnt out of BMX? And if so, what's your technique for kind of persevering and pushing through?
The only times I ever feel burnt out is through the injuries where I just don't feel that good, you know, and then I'm still like on trips and everything, and it's just gets kind of fucking hard. Where I just think like, damn, I suck. Or then as soon as I feel good, though, I'm like, oh, this is right. This is why I do this.
Yeah. Cool, man. I just have another like little side question, something I've just been wondering for a long time. Have there ever been any moments in competition where, I don't know, you just had like a perfect run, you've done everything you can do like flawlessly, and then someone still just gets a better score than you? Have you ever felt that? And like, what does that feel like, man?
It honestly doesn't bother me, because whenever I'm doing those competitions and jams and whatnot, it's just about, like, if I got that perfect run that I wanted to get and I'm so happy about it, then it doesn't matter. You know, I'm stoked whoever beats me, or because I did that, I'm like, all right, I did that. You know, so it never bums me out or anything.
Okay.
The kind of competition thing is always more against myself. So if I'm just like riding sloppy or riding in my head and I just can't pull a simple trick that I normally do, that's when I'm like, all right, man, what's wrong with me? I need to go back to the drawing board and figure this out. But if I
That's a good point, man.
Yeah, so someone gives points in me or whatever in the contest, but no, that's judges and them. But if I got the run I really wanted to do, I'm going home happy for sure.
Oh, that's cool, man. I see. I don't think about stuff like that. I'm a big fan of like other sports too. Like I'm a huge basketball fan, and I wouldn't say that thing really applies as much in other sports. It's like, you know, being in a competition with yourself as opposed to like with other teams or people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a lot of the
pretty
people
cool,
who
man.
keep competing probably have that same mindset in BMX and action sport.
Right on, man. Well, dude, that's pretty much all I want to know, man. Is how how you've done it for so many years, and I just appreciate just a few minutes talking to you,
no worries,
and that's awesome, man.
Easy.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, take care, dude.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Have a great day.
Right on, man. All right, later.
All right, brother. Take care.
Woo! Man, Dennis. God damn. Man, it's crazy to think of how long he's been, how long he's really been out there. And it seems like he's been at the top for a long time. And I've heard a lot of arguments about, the best rider of all time. You really got, you got to think about that stuff sometimes, because we're putting so much into BMX. It's okay to care about shit like that, It's okay to, debate and talk about stuff like that. And it's cool to kind of get his perspective. I wish he would have elaborated a little more on, just getting burnt out, because he's been doing this stuff for so long at such a high level. And man, you got to get burnt out sometimes. You have to. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I love BMX just as much as, anyone else riding, but I think there's times when I get some low spots, you know what I mean? But it's kind of always come back, It'll get low, but then I'll miss it, and it's been pretty consistent as far as like coming back to me wanting to ride more. But anyways, man, Dennis Anderson. Hey, I don't even need to tell you guys to go check out Dennis Anderson. You know who the fuck he is. But I'm happy he was able to give me a few minutes and talk, man. That's cool to hear some different perspectives. But this next dude, his story's again a little different. He's been around for a while. He's going on 40 years of BMX and got sponsored real young. And I'm excited for you to hear a bit of a story, because he was able to make, a decently long career out of BMX despite some major setbacks. So here he is, my salt brother, Mr. Eben Krakow. All right, so I don't know if I've even told you what. Yeah, I think we talked before, but so basically the episode I'm doing is about people who got sponsored at an early age, and I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm like kind of like a BMX scientist, or I try to just like prove theories and discoveries and shit. And So I know a lot of times I'm definitely wrong, but what I've been trying to figure out is if you got sponsored at an early age, how that kind of if it put an effect on just your views on BMX as a whole and the industry and shit like that. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you and let people kind of hear your story because you got sponsored pretty early, right?
Yeah, I mean, like on the racing side, I started making money. Wow, man, like 8,
Oh shit.
and yeah, and then on the freestyle side is 14. I think was the first year. Actually, it's money.
Jeez, dude.
Kind of,
That's not
it's one of
even.
those things.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's I guess it comes along with the territory, but then at the same time, it's like, what does a young kid need money for?
Mm-hmm.
It was never, BMX as a whole was never about how much money I could make or any of that. It just kind of naturally happened.
But as a kid, I mean, I had to feel different when you started getting paid, you know?
Oh, totally. I mean, I want to say, what was that, summer of '83, when I was 8? No, 9. Jeez, dude, 9. Sorry. Was when it like really started kind of happening. I was racing, and there was a guy here in San Antonio that owned a pool company, and his son was a probably a top level expert racer, like national wise. And so Texas has always had like a really good BMX, like upper level BMX riders, be it freestyle or be it racing side. And his dad, I guess just had a lot of extra cash, and basically was like, hey, if I can help some kids that actually deserve something, maybe go a little bit further, then more power to it. And so, yeah, that kind of started that ball rolling. And, yeah, it was kind of crazy, because he basically did it by your performance every month. So I want to say it's, man, and I mean, I know I'm going to probably get it wrong, but I want to say it was like, if you had the most points and most win for the month out of everyone on his team, you got, man, it was like $500 or $750. Second was like 300, and third, I want to say it was like 200. And then after that, no matter what, he gave you like $50.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, even as you got to put this back into perspective, as an 8-year-old kid getting $750 a month potentially, that's pretty ridiculous, man.
I mean, and back then, dude, I mean, you're looking at it in 1983. $750 is probably the equivalent of about $2,000 now.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, I mean, at that point, I mean, I was probably definitely the top of my game racing wise. So I want to say probably like the year and a half that his team lasted before, I think he realized that he was spending a lot of money and just not really getting the return he would hope for.
Yeah, of course.
Man, I probably cleared probably 10 or 12 grand, if not more than that. And, and on top of it, it was like he hooked it up. Like, his credit card was on file at the local shop, and if you needed stuff, you just went in and got it.
Wow.
And it was awesome. I mean, it was, it was basically, and then you went to if you went to races or whatever, he paid for everything. He paid for your hotel, he paid for your food, he paid for your entry fees. I mean, he was basically a full factory sponsor, but he was just a wealthy dude that owned a high-end, like, luxury pool building company. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild looking back on it, because I'm like, dude, I mean, in all honesty, that dude basically bankrolled a good chunk of my college education, because
So you saved that money,
I didn't need the money, so my family invested it. And yeah, and so that basically paid for a good chunk of it. And who knows what other crap that, I wasted some of that money on. Once I got older and realized, hey, I've got, this money sitting, being invested and not doing anything. So,
well, let me ask you a question, man. As awesome as that sounds, and that's fucking sweet. But did that have any effect on you as you got a little older? And I don't know, did it put you to a point where you were expecting to make money off BMX, or like when you came into freestyle, did you have that same expectation at all, or?
Totally not.
Okay.
Like when I got into the freestyle aspect, man, we had the Texas AFA here in Texas, and like Hoffman came down to our contests and stuff like that. We had a really good program here, and I just got into it because racing just got boring really quick. I want to say like 84, 85, I was just over it. And so I started, riding ramps and things like that. And I started, and there was really I don't really think I had ever said, oh, I'm going to make money. Like, this is what I want. I mean, the goal was to potentially get sponsored someday, but I don't necessarily know if, when I first started, if I even really felt that I was going to be good enough to be sponsored. And
so
then,
you were about 14, you said. How did that?
I was 12 when I first started freestyle.
Okay, I'm just talking about when you got sponsored. I heard at one
13.
point. I heard at one point you were kind of like the golden child of that era. Is that true?
Man, I don't.
I've heard that before.
I guess yes
man.
and no. I mean, some people have said stuff like that. I mean,
okay, you've heard that.
I don't know.
At least you confirm that, because I swear I heard that once.
Dude, I was a young kid, and I think if I wouldn't have started getting injured when I did, and we were pretty much at the point where BMX was just in the toilet, I think things may have been a little bit different. But at the end of my 14-year-old year, I'd won every contest that I entered that year, be it national or local. I was in high school. I was just wanting to have fun with my friends and go skate and do random stuff. And I broke my growth plate in my my left ankle, I'm sorry, skating at the skate park here. And that kind of put things into perspective, because by that point, that was right before Christmas break. I think I had already missed like 45 days of school, traveling to contests and things of that nature. So I was definitely going to fail my freshman year of high school. There's no question.
Well, dude, just the fact that you were traveling to contests tells me that you were definitely on a serious path in BMX. Like, normal kids aren't doing that shit. So were you like pretty hungry to kind of like succeed in BMX, or?
I do at that point. Yeah. I mean, I think I saw a lot of success at that age. But honestly, up until like the second to the last contest of that year, I really didn't have any competition. I mentally competed with myself, and I was 14, and then the way that I mentally competed with myself is I saw things at like that Matt and, Joel Alamo and Leo Chin and Carlo Griggs were doing, who were 2 years older than me. And so mentally, I kind of was competing with those guys because, at 14, I mean, I was doing 13-foot airs, maybe dabbling a little bit higher than that at times. There was a lot of things. And I was competing with those guys mentally because everyone in my class was going like 2 or 3 feet. And the first time I had actual competition, like anyone that I was like, wow, there's somebody that was good was Mira. And the first time we competed against each other, we were both 14. And I had heard about this kid from the East Coast, and they're like, yeah, he goes like 7 feet, 8 feet. And I was like, really? Well, cool, man. I'm actually going to have somebody to push me. And, I beat him in that, that the first time we competed against each other. And
he was another golden child, man. So.
Oh, dude, yeah. That was the thing. Because I had met Dave earlier in the year in January when he was still on Haro at that point. And he was more of a flatlander. He rode ramps just as, kind of to get overall. And then, as we both did that year, we were both 14 and we both hit growth spurts. So we kind of grew, both of us grew a little bit, but we both got, gained a lot of tricks riding wise. And so, yeah, it was definitely one of those things where it was, it opened my eyes a little bit because I was like, rad, now there's another young kid, because the kids after us, that were younger, just, I don't know, man. It just didn't seem like they were, we had somebody like, Eric Evans and Greg Maycumber, but they were both like 8 or 9 years old. And it was like, that's a huge gap from 8 to 14. But there was no one really in their class that was 13, or because it was 13 and under. It was these two little kids competing against each other on, 16-inch pit bikes. So I don't know. Dave was a good swift kick in the ass at that point, because it was like, all right, you know what? Hey, this kid's getting good, so I'm going to have to compete against him again. But then, yeah, I started having a bunch of injuries and realized I was doing really shitty in school, and my parents jumped my ass, and team manager at Haro jumped my ass and was like, dude, get your shit together, because you're really dropping the ball by not focusing on your schooling. But at the same time, it was like, dude, I was kind of looking at it where it was like, yeah, you guys are about to fly me out there to negotiate my contract, and this is going to kind of last forever, and then after the growth plate injury healed, broke my collarbone in 4 places within a month, and then it kind of was like, maybe I do need to focus on schooling a little bit more, because this is kind of starting to suck a little bit. And at that point, then it kind of changed the perspective, and I think my expectations really changed BMX wise.
Well, this whole thing kind of ties back into the topic. You started getting really aggressive at a very early age, and you, obviously, as you just stated, the injuries kind of, bit you in the ass a little bit, and I think partially because you were so hungry and you were pushing so hard, and that definitely is a good point to think about, because normal kids aren't at that level, and they're not in this travel schedule you had going, and the anticipation behind riding against Dave Mira and shit like that. This all plays a part in what I'm talking about. So
yeah, because it was and the whole way that I broke my collarbone is, at the time, this was early 1989. I know it was the end of February of 89. I had learned 540s. And at the time, the youngest person doing fives was, like 17, 18. Matt was 15 when he started toying with them, and like I don't remember what he did. I want to say he like shattered his femur or something, and it was kind of viewed as a trick that young kids didn't do because I don't know if it was one of those things where we all kind of looked at it maybe that it was, hey, this is a pro level trick or whatever, and but I think my mentality was I was like, well, hell, if I can do 12, 13-foot airs and 8-foot fakies and things like this, then I can do a 540 over the coping. And I learned really, really fast that that bit me in the ass because I was doing coping level, and I was like, hell, I'm gonna try to spin one a little bit higher, and did like a 7-foot feeler air on one wall and spun it probably about 4.5 feet out and landed it perfect, except I kind of carved a little bit and rode off the ramp about 6 feet up the transition, and my ramp was elevated like 2 feet on that side, so I went straight to my left shoulder. Well, I was one of, I wore a full face at that time. I mean, I've always worn a full face on vert, but I landed on my left shoulder, my head shifted, and the bottom of my helmet snapped my collarbone, my right collarbone in 4 places. And that was a really big reality check because that sucked.
And how old were you then?
I had just turned 15.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's like a world-shattering thing right there. It just everything crumbles at that point,
Oh, totally. Because I thought I was like, hell, I was actually scheduled to go out my whole spring break, do spring break shows for Haro, negotiate my contract, and go from there. And so I was ready to do that, and I was psyched because I'm like, hell, I'm gonna, show Bill, our team manager, hell, dude, I just learned 540s, and little kids aren't doing this, and or younger kids at that point, and it definitely bit me in the ass, and about 3 days before I was flying out there to still go out and do my contract, I hopped on my buddy's bike and just tried to pedal it. And this was about 2.5, 3 weeks after, maybe, something like that. And I felt my collarbone shifting. And it was like, okay, this isn't like a broken leg that I can ride with my cast or a broken wrist that I can ride with my cast. This shit is moving. And I'm feeling it, and this sucks. And so I didn't get to ride again for another about six to 7 weeks. So it definitely put it into perspective real fast.
Yeah, dude, you were the Derrick Rose of BMX, man. That's crazy. You just this incredible kind of like youth, little, you had this incredible potential at such an early age, but you got fucking rattled by injuries. That's crazy to hear. I mean, did that have an effect on just kind of your style and the future in BMX for you? I know you went on to have like a pretty long career, but I definitely saw like a turning point in your style perhaps at one point, right?
It definitely did. I mean, it was always it kind of rattled me a little bit, but this all of this started happening like right around the decline, 89, 90, 91, when freestyle as a whole was pretty small, and then at that point too, I mean, 90% of the people I rode with quit. They were all a little bit older. They got cars, and they all bailed. And I started riding with skaters a lot. Started skating a lot more, and really started riding mini ramps a lot. And I want to say that lasted, homeless happened, so that was, 90, late summer 91, all the way to 93, and then 94 I got on standard, which was at the time the ultimate mini ramp, like kind of park team, and then end of 95, this dude started building this skate park, a very, very strange part of town, and kind of didn't add up, and there was a lot of rumors that it was basically cover up for money laundering or whatever. And he built a 12-foot vert ramp, and I started riding vert again. And so from 91 to 90, I'd say 91 to 95, end of 95, I didn't touch a vert ramp, and started riding vert a lot, and started having fun with it. And then 97, I started riding vert again full time, and that kind of was my second wave of as a vert rider, and worked for standard for a little bit, then was on GT, and then went back to standard. So I guess my career probably making a legit check lasted until I was probably 26, 26, which was 2000 was the last time that I actually rode vert and kind of pushed myself.
Well, let's jump back to the topic, man. So again, this was about, kids who got sponsored at an early age, and you had a pretty freaking cool story in BMX. I don't think you talk about generations of riders and stuff. I don't think a lot of newer riders probably know your story like they would, Mira or Matt Hoffman or whoever else. And it's a pretty crazy story. Do you think that, had these injuries not happened or whatever, other things that caused you to switch your style and all that stuff, do you think you would have, had a different, outcome or career at that point?
Possibly. I definitely, there's always that thought in the back of my mind that it may have changed things a little bit. Because my goal was to turn pro in 90. I wanted to turn pro at 16. It just, at that point, it felt right. And, then at that point, you've said and I've said, I was plagued by injuries, and it definitely changed the outcome. If I look at it as a whole, maybe so. It is really hard to say, just because I think my brain has shifted focus on so many things in the past.
Yeah.
So, do I think that I would have kept on that path? Absolutely. I just don't know what it would have been. I don't know if I would have focused on vert or if I would have focused more on a park type thing. It's so hard to say.
Well, it's still, it's a crazy story, because I think you gained a lot of following in the 90s as much as you may have in the 80s, but in a different aspect of BMX. But anyways, dude, I really appreciate talking to you, and I appreciate your story, dude. I hope we can talk again, because it's pretty wild, man.
Whatever. There's probably a lot of boring stories that I could probably fill everyone's heads with. But I don't know. It's one of those things. It's I've been very fortunate to still be involved now, and we're going on, what is this, 4 decades of it.
Yeah, that was gonna be my last question, man. You're still riding today. You're still fairly involved in the industry and stuff like that. How old are you now?
I am 46.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, I mean, and next November will be actually my 40th year being involved with BMX, and yeah, I mean, I still, I'm still very fortunate. I get to ride my bike, and I basically have a glorified skate park in my backyard, and my wife is supportive of it. My kids love it, and I get to play around. I get to go out there and enjoy riding, which at my age I never would have imagined it being possible, because 1920 seemed to be a major cutoff in the 80s. And we still got DMC's 53 now or whatever. You got Malt Turner that's 50, 55, 56, something like that. I mean, these are all killing it.
Yeah.
I think it's what keeps all of us young, and keeps us all stoked on life.
Yeah, man, as much as I hate to be wrong on something, it's good to hear that you're still able to, like you said, 4 decades later, still be involved in BMX and still just love it. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing, is just having the love for BMX. So that's cool, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Anytime.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right, sounds good, dude.
All right, take it easy.
All right, later. Bye.
And that's what's up, man. Eben Krakow. And that boy can talk, though. Shit. Hell yeah, we need a lot more time to hear his full story. But damn, that's cool, man. Early age, riding against Mira. But then just got fucked, man. Got fucked with injuries. The shit can happen, man. Derek Rose of BMX. I don't know if he knew who Derek Rose was. Maybe he did. But that's cool, man. I'm stoked to finally hear a little bit of Eben's story. And I knew he had a different perspective, but it's cool to hear how he's been able to just kind of persevere, and I think it shows that he just loves BMX, and despite all these setbacks, being held back with injuries and shit, sponsorship changes, fucking BMX era changes. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. If you rode from the early 80s and you're still fucking shredding in the mid-90s, there's something to be said for your love of BMX. And man, the BMX scientist. I coined that shit. Don't steal it. I'm the BMX scientist. Now, I'm always trying to, prove shit that I think, I don't know, man. I'm always fucking wrong about it, but it's fun to hear people's perspectives and get reactions out of people. And that's when people really open up, is when you can get them, to give you a reaction for something. But back to the topic, getting sponsored, man, early age. I know we all wanted it. I know I sure as hell did, but it just never happened for me. So it was cool to finally hear, a few different people and how it affected them. And I don't know if it would have affected me, I guess, now. Talking to a few people, I don't know. I just assumed that, once again, here I go assuming shit. I just thought that it would change your life a little bit. I think about these kids in youth sports, like the parents push them like crazy, and then they get burnt out. It happens all the time, but I guess it's a little bit different with BMX. I guess you can't relate BMX to those youth sports in that sense, Yep, so anyways, man, before I get out of here, I want to send a shout out to Heavy Pedals Zine. Heavy Pedals Zine. It's a BMX zine. If you get a chance, check it out. God damn it. Issue 3. Issue 3 just came out, and I actually got an article in there. So I did an article about backyard ramps, and man, I poured my heart and soul into that shit. I just finished English Comp 101, motherfucker, and I put it all into it. I hope you like it. I'm all about the backyard ramps, man. They got a big place in my BMX heart. So anyways, if you check that out, man, Heavy Pedals BMX on Instagram. That's pedals with a Z. Also, wish my man Chuck over at Heavy Pedals a speedy recovery. He just busted his arm, man. He straight up crushed that motherfucker. Anyways, man, Heavy Pedals. I got to get the fuck out of here. It's 4th of July. I got like 13 beers waiting on me right now and a shitload of bottle rockets and Roman candles. So I'm out this bitch. Y'all stay up. I'll see you next time. Episode 3. We done, son.
Remake.